Hello and welcome to Raw Urban Sessions. I'm your host Ash and I'm here with Strega Nona. Hi, hello.
Thanks for having us.
You were just performing Advisement, and could you tell us a little bit about that song?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of a political song. I wrote it during the lockdown of the pandemic, the lyrics, and there was a lot of political hypocrisy that was brought to light during that time, and a lot of mistrust of the media and a lot of things like that. And I talk about healthcare in the song as well, and how messed up it was during a health crisis. So I touch on a lot of political topics like that in the song. And I like to bring a song to a point where a unified front of people. So I don't think that things have to be dismal. They can be, there's hope for things. I like to not kind of dwell, and not to be too dark in songs. I like to, because I have hope in myself for society. So I like to, that got really kind of deep and big, but I just like to bring it back to a positive note at the end of every song, which it gets there at some point. But yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, a beautiful way to find the balance in
Yeah.
that. I think that that's so important, especially with music. It's something that you're repetitively doing. Like, how many times do you practice a song? How many times are you like thinking about it, singing it, acting it? So it's like when you're constantly doing that, to have a balance in it, I think is so important. You know, having those heavy emotions met with like the optimism. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
And I wanted to ask you guys, where did the name Strega Nona come from?
So I'll take that. Don't worry, guys,
Yeah.
I'll take that.
You take that. You take that.
So we had been playing music under a different name before. I won't get into that, but we were trying to find a new name, and we had a list of things, and it was, I think actually Julia had like a list of names, and we kind of just said, okay, well that one sounds the coolest.
Yeah.
But it's a children's book by an Italian author called I think Tommy DePaolo. And basically the plot of the book is that his grandma is Big Anthony is a character, and his grandma is a witch, which Strega Nona literally means grandma witch in Italian. And she tells him not to touch her magic pot of spaghetti, but he does it anyway, and then just goes out of control. So he has to eat all the spaghetti. So I guess there's a lesson to be learned there, but
Yeah, don't eat so much spaghetti.
mostly it was just because, I don't know, it sounded cool. So.
Sounds cool. And we all love pasta.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Big
Spoiler
fans of
alert,
pasta.
the
Great.
book's been out for at least 30 years,
Sure. Sure. We did
we
spoil
spoiled
the
it.
end, yeah.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert,
Spoiler
yeah.
alert, yeah.
It's
Put that in.
It's a great book. I used to have the cassette for it. That was I forgot his name. The man who is also a chef. I forgot his name, but he was the one who did the vocals for it.
Oh, really?
Was it
really
Emerald?
funny.
Was the guy who was like, bam,
Was it Emerald's the guy who's on the face of the spices?
Chef Boyardee?
Chefs.
I can't think of it. I'm crazy right now. I can't think of
I'm pretty sure it
it.
was a real guy.
I will just say regarding Strega Nona, personally, me and my politics, I'm Team Big Anthony. Like, don't listen to authority. Feed the village with the never-ending pot of pasta.
That's an outlook.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Spread the wealth. Spread the
For
wealth.
sure.
Reject authority. End of note.
Let's get into their next song.
what you are. The beauty we are, the beauty we are told to hate. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread until you return to the ground. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread until you return to the ground. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread until you return to the ground. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread until you return to the ground. Like water, like bone, like fire, like water, like bone, like bone.
And we're back. So you just performed Like Bone. Could you tell us where the inspiration of that came from and what that song is about?
That was one of the first songs we kind of like wrote musically together.
Yeah,
I
with,
feel.
Yeah.
with you and the band.
Yeah, we wrote it soon after I kind of joined the band and started like actually writing the music because I came on as just a guitar player and I was, filling in, but then I started writing more parts. That was, the formation of the music. The lyrics, again, quite political, as usual, I guess, for me. I would say the hook of the song, the beauty we fear, the beauty we're told to hate, the beauty we are. It's just about kind of like how society like pressure cooks us into a little box and expects us to quell the natural altruistic urges that we have as people. That's ultimately what the song's about. And I think that naturally we are a communal animal and we want to take care of each other, which is the kind of moral of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Musically, that was kind of like our heavy song.
Yeah.
For a while, that
Yeah.
was it was kind of just like that was actually a holdover from our first album.
Sure, yeah.
And
That,
it went through a few changes.
Yeah, that song was very, very different when we started writing
Which
it.
is funny because like we didn't want to go from part to part to part, and then that's exactly what we did was go part to part to part. But it's got its
got a
its
good
heavy
flow to it.
points. It's got its
a journey.
pretty moments. Like I think that's one thing that we try to do in the music is like if everything is heavy all the time, nothing is really heavy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, find a balance.
Yeah.
Build up to the
Yeah.
climactic moments.
It's like the dichotomy of quiet. And it's kind of like, I mean, not that we're super influenced by these bands, but kind of like stuff like Nirvana and like the Pixies in like the 80s and 90s was very like, okay, we're going to have a quiet verse, a loud chorus, it's just because it really makes those parts stand out more.
I think we really appreciate the concept of like constraint and then the catharsis of letting things get emotional and heavy. I think heavy and emotional go hand in hand with our music, not just heavy for heavy's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great catalyst to ask you guys, what is your musical influences? Like whether, who and or what, because it doesn't have to just be, other musicians, you go outside and clearly the standings of society is an influence, it seems. It's like that's one, but if you guys want to get into what your influences are.
Me personally, I'm really into like emo music and like kind of like hardcore music, like more like punk influenced. I mean, I like, obviously I like metal too, but that's definitely where a lot of my influence comes from in like my playing and, where I draw inspiration from. I mean, I don't know, stuff like bands like Thursday and like Glassjaw and stuff like that. I draw a lot of inspiration from those groups, so.
My first big drum love was Dave Grohl. I feel like that's a little obligatory. And then as I got a little older, not that I ever grew out of love with Dave Grohl, but as I got a little older, I started listening to heavier music. We started going to more metal shows, me and Jordan. We were, fresh out of high school. Big fan of this band Liturgy. Their drummer, Greg Fox, ended up taking lessons from, so he kind of shaped my style in terms of like playing heavy music and blast beats, like I do for most of Strega Nona's music.
Me. Well, I was always in like even in high school, I was always in a weird niche where it's like I went to punk shows, I went to hardcore shows, I went to metal shows, and it was like never punk enough for the punk kids, never hardcore enough for the hardcore kids, never metal enough for the metal kids. And I kind of like always like just like the jumble of different guitarists. Like Johnny Marr was a big one for me. Even Frank Iero from MCR was a big one because he's just playing around with these chords and a lot of like just taking a simple chord and just playing three different things with it. I mean, Deaf Heaven was the obvious
Yeah, that's
big one.
kinda
That's the
like-
big one.
The big like group
Yeah.
project that we all kind of aspire towards.
Yeah, we love them. But yeah, for me, you know, I guess I was an emo kid in high school. Like, why not? It was fun. But like, I didn't start playing music till I was like older, till I was like around 20, 19, 20. And, you know, I got into the scene, like the anti-folk scene, and like kind of like punk and stuff like that. Not so much metal. I didn't really get into metal till after I joined this band in 2017, I guess. But yeah, no, I come from like the anti-folk Sidewalk Cafe kind of. Those were my first gigs, like stuff like that. Kind of playing unplugged, playing folk music unplugged, playing punk music, I guess, things like that. That aesthetic, that ideology always kind of influences everything that I do even still to this day.
And for their last song, they will be performing Victory.
Don't
And we're back, and that was just Victory. Could you get into what Victory was about?
I'll talk about the lyrics since
Yeah, I mean,
since I write the
musically,
lyrics.
yeah, you,
Yeah.
We could do both. We could do the
We can
lyrics
talk
and then we
about
can get
that.
into
Also,
music.
I wanted to ask, like, what made you choose it as the last song? Like, what made you create it as your set list and it to be the last song?
I think it's kind of like, so there's that extended passage at the end, it kind of goes on for 4 or 5 minutes. It's just like a very cathartic, kind of, I don't know, both to like listen to and to play. So I feel like, or at least we feel like, just serves as like a good ending to, in our live sets, we'll usually play that song last.
yeah,
Because
it
it's
has like
long,
its
if you will.
own natural conclusion. Like it kind of ends on one note and then it just holds and then until it fades.
It's our lightest song. I feel like it's a nice calm down from
Yeah.
playing heavier music from the preceding 25 minutes.
Yeah.
People break at the
Lyrically,
end.
lyrically, it's like kind of the only song on the record that's like purely emotional and about relationships and about love exclusively without the lens of society. But yeah, that song is about obviously I wrote it after a breakup. I end up writing a lot of songs when I'm struggling most. I use music as a kind of music writing as a kind of coping mechanism for myself. But yeah, lyrically it's about overcoming this possessive kind of norm in society of relationships and kind of maintaining your sense of self in a relationship and being with someone in parallel instead of being with someone in overlap and growing together as opposed to meshing together. Ultimately, that's kind of where the song came from. My hope for myself, and my hope for my future, and everyone's, and yeah.
Yeah, which is strange because I think we were on the same wavelength. Because when I was writing the music for it, like I was going through a really rough point in my own relationship, which unfortunately ended. But so it's like we never spoke about like, oh, this is what I'm feeling musically. This is what she's feeling lyrically. It just happened to sync up.
resonance.
It's always nice when there's like that emotional connection in a band where you're clearly all kind of on the same wavelength and you're feeling similarly just from the chords, just from the music, just from the arrangement and how you're playing it and where the energy is going. And I feel like in that song, it meshed very early on when we were writing it. I was like, oh, this just went well with the lyrical content. So.
Yeah, for sure. And when you guys do play, like even earlier when you guys were setting up, it was just like the moment you guys just lock in. And it's really, really beautiful for you guys to see that synergy is the word I'm
Build
looking for.
that rapport with people,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, I don't
We
know.
could say we're buddies.
Yeah, we're
like we
pals.
like each other.
Yeah.
No, but I think we've all been really lucky in that aspect where like, as people we get along, as musicians we also get along because there's been plenty of bands I've been in where you get along well with a person and just musically it just
Doesn't
not
work.
meshing.
Yeah.
It
It's
does not.
compatible.
I think we've all
Yeah.
been there.
and vice versa where
Sure.
it's like this person's really great at their instrument and they're
I like jamming, but
really not a
Your cup
Yeah.
of tea.
yeah.
Where did you guys, like, how did you start? What is your origin story? Where are you guys from? How did it start?
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
that's me and Nick.
Yeah, me and Jordan started playing together almost 9 years ago, just about 9 years ago.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we've known each other since high
Oh,
school.
yes, yeah, we've known each other for 15 years or so. Yeah, almost a decade back, we just were both looking for bands. We were renting practice spaces at Phoenix down the block from here, or a little further. Than on the block,
Yeah, it's
but-
further. We're far
yeah.
from Phoenix.
And then, from there, we just decided, like, after jamming with a few different people, a few different guitarists that we bring in, we, like he was saying before, we weren't necessarily vibing with people that we considered close friends for years. And then we started doing our own thing. It slowly formed into Strega Nona after a couple years. We brought in Anthony,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Julia. But yeah, we're kind of late bloomers. We didn't really start playing out
Yeah.
until we were 22,
I
23-ish or so.
I didn't learn how to play. I played guitar before I played bass. I didn't learn how to play guitar until I was about like 22 or 23. So I'm also never I didn't really play music as a kid. I appreciated it, but I just could never. I don't know. I could never teach myself. So I just kind of sucked it up at that age, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get lessons. And then I don't know. I kind of just taught myself how to play bass after that. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You guys were in
Yeah,
a few bands here and there before.
Yeah,
I think out of all of us, I was in the most, right?
Well, not anymore, but
Yeah, not anymore. But like,
No, I'm in
nah,
way
'cause,
too many.
like I started playing and like I started
Yeah, you were
playing
started
with bands
earliest.
when I was like 13,
Yeah.
14. Because like
so cool.
one of the things my guitar teacher told me was like, yeah, if you want to get really good, you just have to go out there and play. Like you could sit in your bedroom and practice 10 hours a day, but like it's not comparable to playing with other people and
Putting
just
yourself
having the
out there.
chaos of playing a live show where literally anything can go wrong.
Sure.
And if it does, you need to be able to do something about it.
For sure. Yeah. And you guys are all based in Staten Island?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Staten Island.
And what genre do you guys identify with as your band? Or do you even?
We would, for years, we would go by shoegaze black metal. I feel like that's we kind of dropped that.
Yeah, I
So-
don't
sort of. I
know.
guess it's still on our Instagram, but
Sure.
when people ask, it's heavy music, metal with shoegaze with blast beats. So it's
We're friend metal.
Friend
We're
metal.
friendly people.
Friend metal.
I think, but to that point is that we don't necessarily try to like, obviously you want to be like, consistent, thematically and, kind of your sound, but I don't think we say, okay, well, we're going to fit into this box or this genre. We kind of just, play around with things and, they kind of like naturally end up a certain way, but I don't think we ever sit down and say, we're going to write, a black metal song or
Yeah.
something like that.
I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
one
agree.
of the most liberating things for us as a band was like when we just decided, you know what, we're just going to write what we're going to write. And if that's what comes out, then
And then when we play shows, we like to play with people who are like-minded, like us. Play with people whose message we align with, as opposed to whose sound. We're not really so worried about that. I think that music is deeper than that.
For sure.
Um,
I think that's really important when you're on projects to make sure like that you have the same kind of vision. You might have a different output of how that looks or sounds, but the same vision of
Sure, I
feel
agree.
good about that.
Yeah, well, we found a very nice community of like friends in Jersey and Brooklyn
Absolutely.
that have been very welcoming towards
Staten
us.
Island.
And
Yeah.
Staten Island.
Can't forget
Put it
Staten
on,
Island.
who's Staten Island? And I wanted to ask you guys a little bit of an abstract question. How do you know when to end a song? How do you know when to end
that's a
it?
good
Yeah.
one because like for a long time we had that issue of like,
And then
is
what?
this too long?
Oh.
Should we add another part?
Yeah.
Our songs are long, so clearly we don't know when to end.
No, I feel like when we first started, we had the problem of like this song is only 3 minutes. We gotta double that.
Can't have that.
We're trying to write 6-7 minute long songs.
Anti-pop.
I don't know. I think it's just kind of like an underwhelming answer, but I think sometimes you just know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not really,
You feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it.
When the sun sets on the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're vibe chasers.
I get that. Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. So I want to ask you guys, where can we find you? Are you playing any local shows? What are your social medias? Where can we stream your music?
You want to take this one? Nick?
Okay, yeah, sure. We have a show coming up this Saturday in Long Island at
Amityville.
Amityville Music Hall.
Yep.
We're playing Mother Pugs. When is the Halloween show? October 28th?
I forget which one we're playing.
The
Okay.
27th.
Oh,
or
actually, we'll
28th.
be.
We're going to announce it soon.
we'll
It's not,
be in,
honestly, we're not announced yet, so we should really be.
Okay, so
But we're
Oh,
playing the
yeah.
Mother
Oh, yeah.
Pugs
Okay,
Halloween
cut that,
cover
cut that,
show.
cut that.
we're
We're playing the Mother Pugs Halloween cover show. We're going to be My Chemical Romance. So there's that.
Yeah, by the time this airs, it'll be
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
right.
cool.
okay. Actually,
Exactly.
we'll be.
The
we'll be
date
at-
is to be announced.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll be at Heart Bar in Brooklyn on October 20th.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing that too?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah. And then we're on Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
Strega Nona Band.
At Strega Nona Band.
At Strega Nona.
and then we also
Streaming
on
everywhere.
Yeah.
Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music.
Yep.
Got merch.
This week on Bandcamp,
Cool.
we're donating all the funds from our newest record, Walk in Beauty, to the Maui Community Fund to help with aid for the wildfires there in
Yeah.
Hawaii.
The link to that
Thank
is
you
on
for
our
doing that.
Instagram story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we have a Twitter, but we haven't used it.
We don't
Not
have
so
that.
much.
So
Well,
it's
it's
on
already-
your Bandcamp is where your merch is that people
Yep,
can
you
purchase?
can purchase, yeah, but it's
Okay.
streaming also. Mhm.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
streaming on Spotify.
Also, Jordan, I got to correct you. It's X now.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
not Twitter.
Man, I just found that out like a few days ago. I was
Yeah,
like
we gotta
looking
make
for
sure
my
people
app.
know.
I was like, where is it?
Let's keep Twitter
Yeah.
alive.
Like we got it. He's going through a midlife crisis.
Oh my goodness.
Not that we're
is
using it.
the weirdest
Yeah.
thing I've heard, yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your music with
Yeah,
us.
thanks
for
and
having us.
Thank you
Of
so much for
course,
having
of
me.
course. Your answers are great. It was really great to get to know you guys and the message behind your music. It's so important. I feel like I'm a very deep person. I like to get deep about things, and like whether we like to admit it or not, when we're creating music, when we're creating anything, it is coming from like the truest essence of ourselves. So to get to know that and to express that, I think that there's so much power in that. So for you
Totally.
guys to like know that and really embody that and be able to articulate it, I think is a really beautiful thing. So
Thank
keep
you.
doing your thing.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing what you guys do next. Thank you for tuning in with us. I'm your host, Ash, and that was Raw Urban Sessions. See you next time.